Warning, this video is intended for adult collectors. It contains plastic collectibles, questionable opinions, and someone who shouldn't have disposable income. This is not a test. This is a random review.
Before we begin, thank you very much to Horned Owl for joining the Patreon campaign. Very appreciated. Thank you very much for helping out the channel. It really does mean the world to me. No matter how many times I say that, it's still true. I mean, I know the more I say it, the more it feels diminished, but trust me, I cannot do this without you guys. So thank you very much for allowing me to continue. If you want me to continue, the Patreon link is in the description below. Or just hit like and subscribe. That's absolutely free, and metric numbers help me a lot as well. Okay, so previously we reviewed the new Reactivate Optimus Prime, and that left us wondering, well, it's a 2-pack. How did the other half of the 2-pack turn out? And, well, we have it here today. Here is Soundwave from Transformers Reactivate, done up as an armored truck. Armored truck Soundwaves are starting just to become the way he is done. In modern depictions, that's usually what it turns into. It's usually got some kind of radar, sound equipment, anything strapped to it in order to get the sound part in there. But you know what? It works for me. It actually does. Like armored truck, actually something Decepticons don't have in mass, especially in G1. So let's see how this interpretation of it turned out. It is cast in a fairly dark blue shade of plastic, maybe a little bit too dark. Now, Reactivate is a dark-toned game, so I don't really have any surprise over that, but I would like it to be a little bit brighter, if only because the black blends in on it just a little much when you see it in person. Right now, I've got a big ring light glowing on it, so this looks a lot more illuminated than it does under normal lighting situations. There is a nice little mix of black plastic as well as black paint in order to make this look come across. So you have black paint up here to go along with the imitation of his cassette deck chest. Black plastic forms the grille and the brush guard here, as well as the front fenders. Quarter panels in the back are painted, however, along with the windows. The door handle, for some reason, got a little bit of paint. And then the roof rack up here is also painted in. You can also see a little bit of bright red, just to give it a little bit of detail up top. That's the same they used for the headlights up front. Toward the back, nothing really going on. Sure, Toy Hacks is going to go nuts on these, by the way. At the very least, just adding wear and tear from the games to them. This is one of those vehicles where, because of the nature of the vehicle, the guns don't look too bad slapped onto the top. Typically, like a Lamborghini driving down the road with a ray gun strapped to the top of it is a little bit Bond villain, if we're being honest here. But on an armored truck where you could very easily have someone pop out of a hatch on top and start aiming the weaponry on top, or of course just having guns on something that is military, makes a lot more sense. We can take them off so we can get a cleaner look. Though I do like the fact that one of the guns is actually on a hinged handle so it can go up and down. So you can also mount that onto the vehicle. And it not only gives a little bit of, tank style play value, but it also looks pretty natural as part of the vehicle here. The part that is not optional is the radar dish in the back. That's where you get a little bit of the sound wave part of him. Just so you know, he's working communications even if he is an armored truck. And again, just like the Prime, I'm surprised that the hubs of the wheels have actually been painted in as well. Really nice to see them do that, because I went for a long time complaining about why the wheels were jet black all over when it didn't make sense. If I've got one knock to the vehicle mode, it's going to be the exposed hinges on the side. That's becoming a pet peeve of mine, and it's kind of becoming a little bit frustrating because they just don't look right. Now, this is semi-futuristic, semi-patched together kind of vehicle mode, so I can understand. You can kind of pretend it might be another component of the vehicle, but yeah, I know my brain just says, yeah, it's just a hinge that they didn't hide. That's all. I do like a little bit of the detailing. There is a lot of sculpted detailing across the toy itself, just like Prime. armored reinforced panels where you can see the rivets in the corners, as well as the armored front windshield as well. Yeah, he looks like he's ready for a hefty battle. We need to get him to robot mode so he can actually do proper battling. So I'm going to start by folding this down. This is a much simpler figure than Optimus Prime, though admittedly I don't have as much practice with it, so bear with me just a little bit. So I get to hinge the entire thing forward here, which is, interesting in and of itself. We got to get the arms out. Go ahead and fold them out like so, and then they're going to fold on those exposed hinges all the way around. Get those cleared out of the way. These little side panels on the legs are going to have to come out of the way too, because the front wheels, or actually the rear wheels, now that I look at it, have to fold into the legs like so. And then once that's done, we can go ahead and close the legs back up, open them. That is them ready. Okay, unclip this entire segment, and then the front wheels will now go in together. Let's see. Here, give me a second here. All right, you just got to. They're on double hinges, so you can arrange these properly. Let's get this guy more transformed so I can get those adjusted correctly. As you can see from this point, we're pretty much just folding the truck together. Not a lot of his robot mode is actually going into the vehicle. It's mostly just shell, which is a little unfortunate. So I'm going to rotate the legs at the thighs in order to bring the front of the legs forward. All right, take the double hinge. Then collapse all that down together. The panel for the head is going to tab into his chest like so. And we can go ahead and start raising things up, closing the back down. And he's going to look a little awkward. But that is going to be how Soundwave gets into his robot mode properly. So, again, not the most complex. He is mostly just carrying his vehicle mode shell on his back. Now, I'm not going to begrudge the toy designers for this, because they have to adapt something that was designed to be a video game character into something that works as a physical toy. So much like the War for Cybertron toys kind of suffered for that same reason, yeah, there's a little bit of convenience in how Soundwave works. So we're going to give it the benefit of the doubt here and just go, okay, good job. It's a Soundwave with a big old backpack. Yeah, that's just how that's going to go, I guess. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can fold it up a little bit cleaner than that. Not especially. Yeah, like he's got grooves in the back. There's parts where it looks like it should come together a little bit tighter, but it's a little bit stubborn for me. That's about as close as I'm gonna get. But hey, let's at least admit, like at least when a toy is engineered like this, it means a lot of unseen detail is coming out in the robot mode. That's how I'm trying to spin this to a positive, because it is absolutely true. Really, the only thing here that was exposed in the vehicle mode was the top of the car and the front, which is now, of course, his proper designed chest. Let's take a look at how the head sculpt for him turned out. And yeah, it's actually a pretty nice rendition of a much meaner, much more, almost like more angular and almost more futuristic take on Soundwave's noggin. Looking good. The visor definitely is much easier to see than Optimus Prime's eyes, so that's not an issue there. Decepticon symbol blends into the chest, so it's a little bit faded, especially in the light. It should look a little bit more purple than it does here on camera, but you can see it. It is present. We do have a lot of extra detail exposed here. A little bit of black and red on the shoulders, giving way to some silver on the forearms. Only a little bit, not the tremendous, like, giant white forearms the G1 had, but, keeps the color there while keeping it more simple. It doesn't have the play buttons on him, because, of course, he doesn't need them. He doesn't turn into a audio device. Down into the legs, where we get that black and the silver mixed in again. Lots of little tech details and panels. Like, a lot of these, like these Reactivate figures for me so far, have had some really nice sculpting into the surface to make them more interesting and give them some layer of detail that, might be a little bit flat otherwise on a Generations figure. Yeah, it's just oof. Oof. That backpack though. That backpack though. Yeah, unfortunately just not a whole lot you can do about it. And not a whole lot you can do about like that weird angle to it. So you can't get like the top of his chest to lay flat either. Yeah. If this is the aesthetic in the game, if the final version of the model looks like this, okay, fine, fair game. But as it is, I think they just had to work with the design they had and didn't quite manage to figure out any other way to do it, which, you know what? Fair. They can't control that sometimes. Let's at least give him his proper traditional armaments. We'll put one in the shoulder like so. I guess that's why it's angled, so it can actually point forward even though it has that permanent slant. You'll also notice there's only one 5mm port on the top, so there's only one spot to actually slot that weapon in. And then of course the traditional weapon goes in his right hand. I've tried to assemble these because it looks like there's a 3mm peg on the tip and there is a hole in the back of his rifle, so you would think like the G1 toys or like other Soundwaves you could actually put the two together. You cannot. That's like a 3mm, that's like a 4mm. That's just a little bit off all the way around. Seems like a missed opportunity to add just a bit more play value to him. But no, what you get is still nice looking Soundwave, decent enough. We go into the articulation rundown now, so we'll bring him back in close and give you another look. Ball jointed head, yep, so he's got up and down and all the rotation that you could ever want. He is using ball joints for the shoulders as well, so expect universal motion and hope they don't wear out too soon. You can also see, yeah, he definitely has a lot of the modern hollowing out to him. I'm not going to hide that on him. He does have quite a few hollowed bits on him. So maybe he's making up for prime size a little bit here. Yeah, so bicep rotation, yeah, he's definitely got that. It's nice and tight. Some of the joints on this guy are really tight. A little bit beyond 90 on the elbow. Wrist joint, again, tight, but works all the way around. Waist joint also works all the way around, full 360. So the thighs are a little bit weird. It's another reason why I don't like the pelvis being part of the leg articulation on a modern design. It's not a centered rotation for some reason. It's hinged toward the front of the pelvis, which gives him a really weird look if you start going for more exaggerated angles. It's Soundwave, so you're probably going to keep them to more subtle ones, but still, really awkward. Yep, thigh, 360-degree rotation there. These were very tight on mine and tended to pop out, so be careful. Then, yeah, lots of bend to the knee. Really like a knee that goes beyond 90. And then a little bit of ankle tilt. Little bit of ankle tilt, too. So that's pretty much the rundown, and that's pretty much Soundwave in a nutshell. I mean, he's a perfectly passable deluxe, but he definitely doesn't hit the heights that the Optimus Prime did. Oh, and speaking of that, speaking of heights, I still have my grievance with Hasbro in that all of the stock images of Soundwave and Optimus show them to be the same height. And no, that's not just someone putting the two next to each other and scaling the image wrong. Soundwave has absolutely been stretched, because you see here, his proportions are a little bit thin, but they're fine. If you see the stock photo, he's like gangly and very slender man looking. But for a proper size comparison, there you go. Optimus Prime, notably taller. Soundwave comes in as something of an average, maybe slightly largish deluxe. So again, you are getting some decent value out of the pack, even though it's a few dollars more expensive than the math would have you believe. So, Soundwave is definitely the weaker of the two, but overall, I'd say, yeah, it's a pretty decent two-pack of figures. The Prime alone is sensational, and the Soundwave is there, that actually sounds mean. The Soundwave does have his flaws. But overall, still not necessarily a bad figure, and definitely better than the other video game-based Transformers we have been getting lately. So, I still say buy that two-pack in confidence. The Soundwave might not hit you quite right. I think it's still decent enough. And then, yeah, that Optimus. That Optimus. So, take that knowledge and opinion as you will. And if you pick up the toy, let me know what you think. I think you'll enjoy it.
We parlay with the captain.
You would think a werecroc is going to listen to elvish rules of piracy.
Of course it would be the
Got it.
freaking elves
Cool.
that invented parlay.
I had to think of a quick replacement for the French.